February has been a nightmare for many. For just trading in general, Nick. Guys, the allergies are killing me, guys. Killing me. Hold on. George says, "I'm up, can't complain." You had a rough start to the year though, didn't you, George? Maybe not a rough start, but like a back and forth kind of maybe annoying start. Down 5%, now I'm up 6. Yep. Welcome to the journey. Welcome to the journey. For you guys that are new to trading, understand that's going to be nothing. It's going to be annoying at the time, but a 5%, I mean, obviously you want to compare everything to your back testing results and whatnot, but a 5% dip is just, it is what it is. What's cool is over time you gain so much perspective, and you start to become more numb to kind of the downside of trading. Like your first drawdown is always your worst. Like the first drawdown you ever take seems like the most painful thing in the world, right? It's like the first time you get like stung by a bee and you're like, my arm's gonna fall off. The world is over. And then like the next time you get stung, you're like, oh, yep, there it goes again. You can do the same thing for anything until your body gets adapted. Same the first time you give blood, the first time you get a needle, right? The first time the dentist shoves that needle into your teeth and you see it and it's like a foot long. Then you get used to it. Drawdowns are the same way. The first time you get like a 5% drawdown, you're going crazy and you're going nuts. And then you go from down 5% to up 6%, and you look back at it, you're like, that wasn't actually that bad, was it? Wasn't actually that bad. And of course that gets and what that does is just makes it easier and easier to deal with it psychologically and emotionally. And then you become that trader where someone comes on the chat and like, guys, I'm in a 5% drawdown. What should I do? And you're like, just relax. That ain't nothing. Then you can start telling your old war stories, right? How many of you guys are with me when I had my 17% drawdown 2 years ago? Was it last year? 2 years ago? Was it last year? All these years flood together now. I think it was 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago. Started off with a bang, right? January 1, boom. It just fell right off a cliff. I strolled into the new year and strolled right off the edge into a drawdown. Like 17% in the first 6 weeks, yeah. I came in, you come into the new year, right? I was all excited over the winter, right? Had a very, very good year. Not as good as the year before, so I was excited. I went back to the drawing board. For the first time in a while, I actually invested some time in working on my training. Right, and I came in. I had, I was all excited. I had the, that confident stroll. Talked about walking through the city the other day. Right, every once in a while I dress up. Usually I can care less. I'm in like some sweatpants and a black t-shirt. Every once in a while I dress up. I look good, and I'll walk somewhere. And you just have that walk. You got that bounce to you. Like, yeah, you're feeling good. Posture's all good. Head's held high. A little bounce in your step. That's how I came into January 1, feeling like a boss. And then I tripped. And I fell and I slid into a 70% drawdown in the first 6 weeks. It was horrible. Because I believe that was the biggest drawdown I've ever taken since like my horrible trading days. And then I just proceeded to pull myself out of it for the next 8 months of the year, which was fine. I got out of it. I got my head above water. It lasted 6 weeks. So it probably wasn't January 1st. Usually I start after kind of the first full week. So I want to say like mid-February is when I started to mid-February is when I stopped falling. All right. I'm picture me falling down this cliff, and then I finally reach and I grab onto something. So mid-February, late February is when I just grabbed onto something and I stopped falling. Now I still didn't know how to get out of it, but at least I held on to something. And then I kind of hung out there for a little bit, trying to figure out a way on how to climb my way back out this hole. My equity curve went sideways. And then I slowly just started inching my way up. And I want to say April, I got my head above water. I I wish I had the curve on me. I have no idea where it's at. I'm sure it's somewhere on the internet, obviously, because I documented it as always. You know, I do videos letting you know about it. But probably April, I want to say. I got my head above water, and I just kept going from there. But good experience. Good experience. Dealt with some pain. Nick says he passes out when he gives blood. Or for the first time he gave blood. Gained 11% in 3 weeks, was down 5% for 3 months. See that? And here's the thing. Drawdowns typically happen. Drawdowns typically are longer, so they seem more painful. George just mentioned, I gained 11% in 3 weeks. I was down 5% in 3 months. So you look at that, and obviously, what's the most? What part should stand out to you? 11% in 3 weeks, right? Those extensions, just like a breakout in the market, right? When the market breaks out, does it break out slowly or does it break out quickly? It breaks out quickly, right? So you see those big equity gains in a short period of time. And because it's a short period of time, you tend to forget about it. The drawdowns, the retracement, right? They take a little bit longer because it's typically a little bit of a fight. A drawdown typically isn't like one big bleed out where it's like you just lose 11% in 2 days, right? That's probably something different than a drawdown, and you should probably check your trading. But a drawdown is typically like you lost 2, oh, but you got 1, but then you lost 2, oh, but you got another winner, and then you lost 2 more, but then you won 2 more. It's kind of this slow little struggle. And it happens over months, right? Where you're like, man, I've just been fighting this thing for like 4 months. That's typically how a drawdown is. So we let that influence us more because I guess it wears us more because the time we spend in a drawdown. And don't forget that a drawdown is technically we're in a drawdown until we make new equity highs. So it's not just the initial kind of loss, but it's even the winning until we get above our previous equity high. So even a winning streak in a way is a drawdown, right? I just technically got out of my drawdown last week during the live event, right? I was winning the week before that, but I haven't achieved new equity highs, so I was still kind of in that. Basically, I was like double topping on the market. But we give it more value because it's longer and it wears on us. And as humans, we tend to always give more value to the negatives than the positives in general. So that's one of the reasons they feel so bad. Drawdowns feel so bad because they just they last longer than winning streaks. Last longer.